A massive sinkhole appeared at Area 51. They sent a drone inside. What they found shocked everyone. The sun had just begun to rise over the endless stretches of sand and rock, casting long shadows across the barren landscape. Few people paid attention to the small, isolated areas tucked away in the desert, except for a handful of workers and scientists who occasionally passed through. But that morning, something unusual happened, something that would capture the attention of the world in the days that followed. A massive sinkhole had appeared overnight. It was not just a small depression or a patch of cracked earth. This was enormous, wide enough to swallow several trucks and deep enough that the bottom was completely hidden in shadow. The desert around it had shifted slightly, the sand and dirt seemingly pulled toward the hole as if it had a life of its own. At first, the local security team thought it might be a simple geological anomaly, something nature had created in silence. But as they approached with caution, it quickly became clear this was no ordinary sinkhole. The base it appeared near was Area 51, a place already shrouded in mystery and secrecy. For decades, it had been the subject of endless rumors, secret aircraft tests, hidden experiments, and even speculation about extraterrestrial life. Yet, even for such a place, the sudden appearance of a sinkhole this size was alarming. The perimeter security systems immediately flagged the anomaly. Radar and ground sensors detected rapid shifts in the terrain around the hole. Drones previously used for perimeter patrols were quickly deployed to get a closer look, but even they had to maintain a safe distance. Inside the base, alarms quietly buzzed in the control room. Officers and scientists gathered around the screens, staring in disbelief. They saw the massive gaping hole stretching far below the surface, the edges jagged and unstable. Dust and debris shifted slowly as if the earth itself was settling after a giant upheaval. Nobody could explain why it had appeared, and that uncertainty only made the situation more tense. Outside the base, rumors began to spread. Locals who lived on the edge of the desert noticed the sudden change in the landscape. Some called in to report it to authorities, while others took photos from a distance and shared them online. The images circulated quickly, and within hours, amateur explorers, journalists, and conspiracy enthusiasts were buzzing with speculation. Could it be a natural sinkhole, a secret experiment gone wrong? Or perhaps, as many whispered with a shiver, something far stranger than anyone could imagine. Meanwhile, inside the restricted area, the military and scientists were already discussing their options. Sending people directly into the sinkhole was far too risky. The depth was unknown, the sides were unstable, and no one could predict what they might encounter below. The ground could collapse at any moment, but they could not ignore it either. Something this large, appearing in such a sensitive area, demanded investigation. The decision was made. They would send a drone. Not just any drone, but one specifically designed for extreme conditions. It had been used before in testing underground caves and other hazardous areas where human entry was impossible. Equipped with powerful lights, thermal sensors, and cameras that could transmit real-time footage back to the control room, the drone was prepared for its descent into the unknown. As the drone was set up, the team carefully reviewed every precaution. The air was tense, a mixture of curiosity and nervousness filling the room. Even seasoned scientists found themselves whispering and glancing nervously at the massive hole just beyond the perimeter. The drone's operators could barely keep their hands steady. They were about to witness something that might change their understanding of the desert forever. Outside, the sinkhole seemed almost alive. Small rocks and dust fell slowly from its edges, and a faint wind appeared to rise from within, carrying with it an eerie, silent energy. The desert sun continued its climb, casting long shadows that danced around the perimeter. No birds flew near, and even the usual desert animals seemed to keep their distance, as though instinctively aware of the unnatural presence beneath the surface. The first moments of the drone's operation were cautious. Slowly, it hovered over the edge, lights scanning the rim, cameras transmitting live images back to the control room. Everyone watched intently. At first, they only saw the jagged walls of the sinkhole, layers of rock and sand carved by unknown forces. There was nothing immediately visible at the bottom, just a dark, yawning void that seemed to stretch endlessly downward. Minutes passed, and tension mounted. Operators had to adjust the drone's position carefully, avoiding loose rocks that might fall and damage it. The air was thick with anticipation. Each small adjustment of the drone brought new discoveries, subtle patterns in the rock, strange mineral deposits that shimmered in the artificial light, and unexpected formations that no one could immediately explain. Back in the control room, theories began to swirl. Some suggested this could be the result of secret underground tests, perhaps even a collapsed tunnel from decades of classified experiments. Others wondered if it could be something completely natural, a rare geological event that had gone unnoticed until now. But as the drone's camera continued to descend, it became clear that the sinkhole was far more complex than anyone had anticipated. Even before reaching its deepest point, the drone detected unusual readings. The sensors picked up faint heat signals from deeper underground, suggesting the presence of machinery or electrical activity. This immediately raised eyebrows. Nothing natural should emit such precise signals in such a remote area. The team exchanged worried glances. Could this be evidence of a hidden facility? Or something else entirely, something they could not yet identify? Outside the base, news of the sinkhole had begun to spread beyond the desert. Journalists from nearby towns were already trying to reach the perimeter, eager to get a glimpse of the phenomenon. Conspiracy theorists online were already speculating wildly, claiming the sinkhole was a secret entrance to an underground base or even evidence of alien technology hidden beneath Area 51. Social media buzzed with images, videos, and heated debates. The story captured the imagination of people around the world almost immediately. But inside the base, there was no room for speculation. Every decision was measured, every action calculated. The drone continued its descent, revealing more about the sinkhole than anyone had expected. Its cameras showed layers of rock that seemed unnaturally smooth in places, almost as if carved or shaped by deliberate hands. Shadows shifted in strange ways, making the bottom of the sinkhole appear even deeper and more mysterious than the initial footage had suggested. The team could feel the weight of history pressing down on them. Area 51 had long been a symbol of secrecy, a place where ordinary rules did not always apply. And now, this sinkhole had opened a doorway into that secrecy, hinting at secrets that had been buried for decades or perhaps even longer. Hours passed as the drone moved carefully, transmitting every detail. Each moment brought new questions. How had the sinkhole formed so suddenly? Was it natural or the result of human or even experimental activity? And what exactly lay at the bottom that made the sensors register heat and movement? As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting a golden glow across the desert, the team faced a critical decision. They could continue to send the drone deeper, risking damage or loss, or they could wait for more advanced equipment to be brought in. The temptation to see what lay below was overwhelming, but caution prevailed. They decided to continue, careful not to rush, knowing that every second of footage could be vital. Even from a safe distance, the sinkhole seemed to watch them, a silent reminder of the mysteries hidden beneath the earth. Nobody could have predicted what would come next, and the air inside the base was thick with both fear and excitement. The desert, usually so calm and empty, now felt alive with possibility, and perhaps with secrets that had never been meant to see the light of day. As night fell over the Nevada desert, the sinkhole glowed faintly under the drone's lights, a dark portal into the unknown. The team inside the control room continued their work, eyes glued to the screens, hearts racing with anticipation. No one knew what awaited them at the bottom, and every moment brought the sense that they were about to uncover something extraordinary. The first day of discovery ended without answers, but the excitement was palpable. Area 51 had given the world a new mystery, one that no one could ignore. The massive sinkhole was no longer just a feature of the desert. It had become a symbol of the unknown, a challenge to human curiosity, and perhaps a glimpse into secrets that had been buried for generations. And so, under the quiet desert sky, the massive sinkhole waited, dark and silent, as the world outside buzzed with speculation, and the drone prepared for a journey that would reveal far more than anyone could have imagined. The moment the drone began its descent into the sinkhole, the atmosphere in the control room was electric. Everyone was on edge, their eyes glued to the monitors that displayed the streaming images from the drone's camera. Even though the drone had been designed for extreme conditions, Nobody could have prepared for what it was about to reveal. At first, the drone's lights illuminated the jagged walls of the sinkhole. Dust fell slowly from the edges, drifting down like tiny snowflakes in the glow of the drone's bright beams. The walls were a mix of sandy layers and solid rock, and the patterns in the rock were strangely intricate, almost artistic in their formation. Some scientists speculated that the sinkhole might have formed along a series of underground fault lines, but the precise edges and the smooth sections hinted at something unnatural. The drone moved carefully, hovering just above the uneven floor as its cameras scanned every angle. The deeper it went, the more mysterious the environment became. Shadows stretched and twisted along the cavern walls, creating shapes that seemed almost alive. The silence inside the sinkhole was complete, broken only by the faint hum of the drone. Even the desert wind that had blown across the surface seemed to vanish entirely here, leaving an eerie stillness that made everyone in the control room hold their breath. As the drone descended further, it began to detect faint heat signatures coming from below. The scientists exchanged puzzled looks. Rocks and dirt shouldn't emit heat in such concentrated patterns, and there were no signs of any living creature that could explain it. The readings suggested the presence of machinery or even some form of electrical activity. Questions buzzed in the minds of everyone watching. Could there be a hidden facility beneath the desert? Or was something else at work, something completely unknown? The drone's cameras caught sight of the first unusual formations a few minutes into the descent. There were jagged pillars of rock that jutted out at sharp angles, and in the light, they seemed to shimmer faintly. Closer inspection revealed that some surfaces were smooth and metallic-looking, unlike anything naturally occurring. The team in the control room leaned in, fascinated and wary at the same time. Nobody had expected to see structures that resembled engineered objects inside a sinkhole, and the discovery raised more questions than it answered. As the drone went deeper, small pieces of debris occasionally tumbled past the camera, clattering against the walls in the silence. These tiny movements made the crew realize just how unstable the sinkhole was. A single misstep by the drone could send it crashing into the rocks below, ending the mission before it had barely begun. Despite the risk, the team pressed forward, driven by a mix of curiosity and the responsibility to uncover the truth. At a depth that had no visible bottom, the drone detected faint electrical signals that pulsed intermittently. The sensors picked up patterns that suggested deliberate design, like circuits or machinery buried deep underground. This sent waves of excitement and nervousness through the team. Could these be remnants of a long-forgotten experiment? Or something entirely new, something hidden from the world for decades? The deeper the drone went, the more unusual the formations became. Strange geometric shapes appeared along the walls and floor, as if carved or constructed deliberately. Some structures resembled tunnels or chambers, but there was no clear entrance or exit. The lighting from the drone created sharp contrasts, casting the shapes into stark relief. It was impossible to ignore the feeling that this was no ordinary sinkhole. It seemed like a doorway into a hidden world beneath the desert. The team began noticing faint glimmers of light in the distance. At first, they assumed it was a reflection from the drone's own lights, but the pattern was irregular, like a sequence of blinking lights arranged in deliberate intervals. The scientists speculated that it could be some kind of automated machinery still operating underground, or possibly a signal left behind by previous experiments. The uncertainty added a layer of tension to the mission, as nobody knew whether the sinkhole had remained untouched for decades or if it was still active in some way. Time seemed to stretch as the drone continued its careful descent. Each new detail added to the growing mystery. Smooth metal panels embedded in the rock, tunnels that bent at impossible angles, and faint traces of tools or instruments that looked decades old. The control room was silent except for the quiet hum of the equipment. Every member of the team was captivated, their attention completely consumed by the images unfolding on the screens. The drone passed over a section where the walls appeared polished, almost as if someone had deliberately worked to remove rough edges. Along these walls, there were strange markings, symbols that no one in the room could immediately identify. Some looked like technical schematics, while others resembled abstract shapes that could be language or code. The discovery sparked heated debates among the scientists. Was this the work of humans, or was it something else entirely? And if it was human who had built it, and for what purpose? As the descent continued, the drone's cameras picked up faint traces of dust and debris that seemed to have fallen recently. This suggested that something had disturbed the sinkhole in the not-so-distant past. The team paused to analyze the footage. Could it be natural erosion, or was it evidence of secret activity still ongoing beneath the surface? The possibilities were endless, and every new piece of information seemed to raise more questions than answers. Suddenly, the drone's lights illuminated a massive structure in the distance. At first, it was difficult to make out the details, but as the camera focused, the team gasped. It appeared to be an enormous chamber, with walls made of metallic materials that reflected the drone's lights in sharp, bright flashes. The size of the chamber was astonishing. It could easily fit several vehicles inside, and the sheer scale suggested it had been constructed with significant resources and knowledge. Inside the chamber, there were objects that defied immediate explanation. Large, angular shapes were scattered across the floor, some appearing to be machinery or equipment, while others seemed like they might be parts of vehicles or advanced devices. Faint lights flickered intermittently along the edges, suggesting that some systems might still be operational. The implications were staggering. The sinkhole had not simply revealed a natural cavity, it had uncovered a hidden facility of extraordinary scale and sophistication. The team struggled to maintain focus as the drone moved closer to the chamber. Every detail was scrutinized: the materials, the shapes, and the strange alignment of the objects. Some panels had markings similar to the symbols seen earlier on the walls, and faint wiring or tubing ran along certain sections, hinting at a complex infrastructure. The air in the control room was thick with tension. Nobody could have anticipated this level of discovery, and the implications for Area 51's secrets were immense. As the drone hovered over one section of the chamber, it detected unusual energy readings. Sensors picked up faint electromagnetic fields, suggesting that some devices might still be powered or capable of operation. This revelation added a new layer of urgency. If the technology was active, it could explain the strange readings from earlier, and it might pose unknown risks to anyone attempting to enter physically. The team realized that careful planning would be essential for any future exploration. Despite the uncertainty, the drone continued to explore, moving cautiously over the floor of the chamber. There were sections covered in dust and sand, while others appeared almost untouched, as if frozen in time. Some objects resembled components of aircraft, while others looked like advanced tools or instruments that had no obvious purpose. Every angle revealed something new, each discovery more astonishing than the last. The team began taking meticulous notes, documenting every detail and analyzing the footage frame by frame. Every small feature could be a clue to understanding what had been buried in the sinkhole and why. The control room was a mix of awe, excitement, and a cautious sense of fear. It was clear that the mission had become far more than a simple exploration. It was a journey into a hidden chapter of human, or possibly extraterrestrial history. As the hours passed, the drone reached the farthest point it could safely navigate. The chamber stretched beyond the camera's view, leaving its full extent a mystery. The team knew they had captured only a portion of what lay below, but even this glimpse was enough to astonish everyone involved. The images and readings would need to be carefully analyzed before any further action could be taken. Outside the control room, the desert had gone dark, and the silence of the night added to the sense of isolation. The sinkhole glowed faintly in the drone's lights, a dark portal leading into a hidden world beneath the desert sands. Even the most skeptical observers had to admit that what lay below was extraordinary, unlike anything previously encountered. The day ended with the drone slowly ascending back toward the surface. The team allowed themselves a brief moment to breathe, but their minds were already racing with questions. What was the purpose of the chamber? Who had built it? And most importantly, what else remained hidden further below? The sinkhole had revealed only a fraction of its secrets, leaving a tantalizing glimpse of the unknown. As the drone emerged into the open air, its footage captured the edges of the sinkhole one last time, the sunlight reflecting off the desert in golden streaks. The team knew that the real work was only beginning. The data collected would need to be analyzed, theories tested, and plans made for a deeper exploration. But one thing was certain, the sinkhole had changed everything. It was no longer just a mysterious geological feature. It was a gateway into a hidden world, a place that demanded investigation, and a story that would capture the imagination of people everywhere. The night ended with the control room lights dimmed, screens displaying the day's incredible discoveries, and the team silently contemplating what lay ahead. They had peered into the unknown, and the world would never be the same again. As the sun rose the next morning over the Nevada desert, the team inside Area 51's control room prepared for the second mission. After the drone's initial exploration of the massive sinkhole, they had gathered an enormous amount of data, but there were still too many unanswered questions. What lay at the deepest points of the cavern? What were the strange metallic structures and glowing lights spotted by the first drone? Most importantly, what purpose did this hidden chamber serve, and who or what had created it? The decision was made to send a more advanced drone, one equipped with stronger lights, more sensors, and robotic arms capable of interacting with objects. Unlike the first drone, this one could move more slowly and carefully, allowing the team to investigate specific features up close. Every precaution was taken, redundant safety systems were installed, and engineers closely monitored every connection to prevent signal loss. The descent began slowly, with the drone hovering over the edge of the sinkhole as the first beams of sunlight lit the desert floor. Dust swirled slightly in the morning breeze, and for a moment the desert seemed calm and ordinary. But as the drone descended, the atmosphere changed. The walls of the sinkhole came into view, jagged and layered, reflecting the drone's lights in a way that made them look alive. Shadows danced along the edges, and the deep silence of the cavern added a tense, almost eerie feeling to the mission. The drone moved deeper and deeper, scanning the walls with high-resolution cameras. Every angle revealed new patterns and textures, some appearing natural, others clearly man-made. The metallic surfaces discovered during the first exploration glimmered faintly, catching the drone's lights at certain angles. The team noted every detail, taking screenshots and marking points of interest for later analysis. There was a growing realization among the scientists. This was not just a simple geological anomaly. The sinkhole had uncovered something deliberately hidden, something of immense importance. At a lower depth, the drone detected faint heat signals again, stronger than before. This suggested that whatever was below was not entirely inactive. There could be some kind of energy source or machinery still functioning, even after decades of being buried. The team exchanged cautious glances. The implications were extraordinary. If this was a facility of human origin, it might have been part of a top-secret experiment long forgotten. If it was not human, then the discovery could rewrite everything anyone thought they knew about the desert and its secrets. The drone entered the massive chamber spotted during the previous mission. From above, the scale of the space was overwhelming. It was far larger than anyone had imagined, wide enough to hold multiple vehicles and tall enough that the drone could fly freely without risk of collision. The walls were lined with metallic panels, some with faint markings, others smooth and reflective. Wires, cables, and tubing snaked along the surfaces, suggesting a sophisticated system of energy or communication had once existed here. As the drone moved closer to the center of the chamber, it revealed objects that were clearly not natural formations. Large, angular structures lay scattered across the floor, partially covered in dust. Some resembled pieces of vehicles or machinery, while others appeared to be experimental devices of unknown purpose. The drone's cameras captured close-ups, showing details that were impossible to ignore: smooth surfaces, precise edges, and intricate mechanical components. It was clear that this place had been engineered with purpose, skill, and considerable resources. The first objects that caught the team's attention were a series of cylindrical devices, lined up neatly along one side of the chamber. They were smooth, metallic, and capped at both ends. Their size suggested that they could contain something important, perhaps energy cells, instruments, or even propulsion systems. The drone's sensors detected faint magnetic fields emanating from them, indicating they might still hold some residual charge. Speculation ran wild in the control room. Could these be remnants of secret aircraft or experimental technology, or something else entirely? Nearby, the drone spotted what appeared to be control panels or consoles. They were partially buried in dust, but some lights flickered faintly, as if struggling to awaken after decades of inactivity. The panels had buttons, levers, and screens, though most of the labels were worn or indecipherable. The team was struck by the fact that the technology looked far ahead of anything publicly known, even by today's standards. Whoever had built this facility had clearly possessed knowledge and resources beyond ordinary capabilities. The drone continued to explore, moving carefully over the chamber's floor. Along the walls, there were strange symbols etched into the metal. They were not random scratches, but deliberate markings, some geometric, others abstract. The team debated their meaning endlessly. Were they codes, diagrams, or warnings? Some suggested they might even be a form of written language. Nobody could say for sure. The presence of these symbols added to the growing sense that this was no ordinary facility. It was something rare, secretive, and possibly revolutionary. In one corner of the chamber, the drone discovered what appeared to be a partially intact vehicle or craft. Its shape was unlike any known design, with smooth, curved surfaces and a streamlined form. Panels were missing, exposing internal components that hinted at advanced engineering. The drone's cameras captured every detail, and the scientists leaned closer, fascinated by the design. It was impossible to know what this craft was intended for: reconnaissance, transportation, or something far more mysterious. The team also noticed faint traces of organic material, almost invisible but detectable with the drone's sensors. This suggested that the facility had once been inhabited or used by living beings. There were no signs of life now, only remnants left behind, but the presence of organic traces raised more questions. Who had worked here? And why had they abandoned it, leaving it buried beneath the desert for so long? Time seemed to stretch as the drone moved carefully, inspecting every nook and cranny of the chamber. Each new discovery was more astonishing than the last. There were sections of the floor covered in dust and sand, while others were perfectly clean, as if untouched for decades. Some areas had equipment resembling scientific instruments, possibly used for measurement, energy experiments, or research. The variety and complexity suggested a facility that had served multiple purposes, each more advanced than the last. Suddenly, the drone's sensors detected a faint energy pulse coming from one of the larger structures in the center of the chamber. It was brief but regular, almost like a heartbeat. The team in the control room froze, realizing that whatever technology remained underground might still be active, even after years of isolation. The pulse was weak, but consistent, hinting at the presence of machinery that had been designed to operate autonomously. The implications were staggering. If the technology was still functioning, it could pose unknown risks, or perhaps offer unprecedented opportunities for study. The drone's robotic arms were then deployed to interact with one of the smaller objects. The team watched in awe as it gently lifted a panel, revealing intricate internal components. Tiny circuits, wires, and metallic structures glimmered in the drone's lights. Some of the materials appeared unusual, not matching anything known in conventional engineering. This discovery sent a wave of excitement through the control room. The potential for understanding or even replicating the technology was enormous, but so was the mystery surrounding it. Deeper within the chamber, the drone discovered more symbols etched into the walls. Some were circular, others angular, and a few resembled diagrams of unknown systems. The arrangement seemed deliberate, almost instructional, as if providing guidance for operating the devices in the chamber. The team began photographing and documenting every marking, knowing that these could be crucial clues to unlocking the purpose of the facility. The drone's cameras then captured the most shocking discovery yet: a series of large, metallic objects arranged in a pattern that suggested careful placement. Their surfaces were smooth and reflective, and some emitted faint glows, as if powered by residual energy. The shapes were unfamiliar, neither conventional vehicles nor machinery, and they defied immediate classification. The team was struck by a mixture of awe and disbelief. This was beyond anything they had expected to find, a hidden treasure of technology, buried beneath the desert for who knows how long. The control room was silent for a moment as everyone absorbed the significance of the discovery. This was not merely a hidden chamber. It was a repository of advanced knowledge, carefully preserved and now revealed to the world for the first time. Questions raced through everyone's minds. Who had built this? What was it used for? And perhaps most importantly, what else remained hidden deeper in the sinkhole? As the drone continued its exploration, it became clear that the chamber was only part of a larger complex. There were passages leading further down, but the drone could only reach so far safely. The deeper areas might contain even more astonishing discoveries, but caution was paramount. The team had to balance curiosity with safety, knowing that the sinkhole's mysteries were far from fully revealed. Hours passed as the drone methodically mapped the chamber. Every metallic surface, every symbol, every faint glow was recorded and analyzed. The control room was filled with a mix of excitement and quiet tension. Each new discovery reinforced the sense that the world beneath the desert had been carefully hidden for decades, waiting for the right moment and the right people to uncover it. Finally, as evening fell over the desert, the drone was brought back to the surface. Its footage captured the entirety of the chamber, from the jagged edges of the sinkhole to the intricate metallic structures below. The team knew that what they had seen was extraordinary. This was not a natural phenomenon. It was a carefully constructed facility, designed with knowledge and skill far beyond what most humans could achieve. The day ended with the control room buzzing with discussion. Every scientist, engineer, and officer present understood the magnitude of the discovery. They had glimpsed a hidden world beneath Area 51, a place filled with technology and mysteries that challenged conventional understanding. The sinkhole had opened a doorway into the unknown, revealing secrets that had been buried for decades, perhaps longer. And as night fell over the Nevada desert, the massive sinkhole remained, silent and dark, a reminder that the world beneath our feet still holds mysteries beyond imagination. The discoveries of the day had answered some questions, but they had also raised countless more, setting the stage for what would undoubtedly be an even more astonishing exploration in the days to come. The day after the drone returned from the massive sinkhole, the control room at Area 51 was alive with quiet urgency. The footage and sensor data had revealed more than anyone could have imagined, and the team knew that the world outside would never believe what lay beneath the desert if the truth were revealed. Officers, engineers, and scientists spent hours analyzing the images, discussing every detail, and speculating about the purpose of the hidden chamber and the advanced technology it contained. The findings were unlike anything recorded in modern history. Metallic structures of unknown origin, glowing devices that appeared to hold residual energy, and a strange arrangement of symbols and diagrams all hinted at a facility, carefully engineered for an unknown purpose. The scale and sophistication of the chamber suggested it had not been created casually. Whoever had built it had access to knowledge, resources, and technology far beyond ordinary capabilities. Security measures were immediately intensified. The sinkhole and surrounding area were sealed off with additional fences, cameras, and motion sensors. Only a few trusted personnel were allowed near the site. Even scientists were required to follow strict protocols. Nobody was permitted to venture too close without approval from top-level officers. The secrecy was paramount, but so was the need to understand what had been discovered. Outside the perimeter, news had already begun to leak. Satellite images taken by amateur observers had captured the sinkhole, and a few daring journalists had managed to get photos from a distance. Social media buzzed with speculation. Conspiracy theories about hidden alien technology, secret government projects, and mysterious underground bases spread like wildfire. The leak created an atmosphere of excitement and fear, even though the public had no idea of the true scale of the discoveries. Inside Area 51, the team faced a delicate balance. They had to investigate further while maintaining absolute secrecy. It was clear that the next phase of exploration would require a combination of robotics, advanced scanning technology, and careful planning. Sending humans directly into the sinkhole was far too risky. The walls were unstable, the depth was unknown, and the possibility of encountering operational devices or dangerous materials was real. A plan was quickly developed for the next stage. Several drones, each equipped with specialized tools, would be sent into the sinkhole simultaneously. Some would focus on capturing high-resolution images, others on scanning for energy sources, and a few would test the structural stability of the chamber and surrounding tunnels. The goal was to create a complete map of the underground complex while minimizing risk to human life. As the new drones descended, the team monitored every movement with intense focus. The cavern revealed more mysteries than anyone could have anticipated. There were tunnels branching off in multiple directions, walls lined with unknown metals, and machinery that seemed to hum faintly even after decades underground. Some chambers were partially buried in dust, while others appeared perfectly preserved, as if frozen in time. Every corner of the sinkhole seemed to hold a secret waiting to be uncovered. One of the drones captured footage of a large, dome-shaped object in a side chamber. It was unlike anything the scientists had ever seen. Smooth, metallic, and perfectly symmetrical, the structure emitted a faint, pulsating glow. Sensors detected subtle energy readings that suggested it might still be functional in some way. The discovery caused a mix of excitement and caution in the control room. Whoever had built this facility had clearly intended for it to be preserved, and some of its technology might still operate after decades of inactivity. Meanwhile, the drones detected additional markings on the walls of several chambers. These were more complex than the symbols seen in earlier explorations, including circular diagrams, sequences of lines, and shapes that seemed to follow a pattern. Some appeared to be instructions, others possibly warnings. The team debated their meaning endlessly, speculating that they could provide guidance for operating the machinery within the chamber. The more they studied, the more it became clear that this was not merely a hidden storage area. It was a facility designed for a specific, highly advanced purpose. The public fascination continued to grow. Online forums buzzed with speculation, from secret government experiments to extraterrestrial technology. Some skeptics dismissed the leaks as hoaxes, while others argued that the hidden chamber was proof that humans were capable of far more than previously believed. The truth, however, was far stranger than anything imagined. The sinkhole had uncovered a chapter of history and technology that had been deliberately hidden from the world, and the implications were enormous. Within the control room, discussions turned to potential uses of the facility. Could it have been designed for energy research, transportation experiments, or even communication with entities beyond Earth? The possibilities seemed endless, but the team knew that speculation had to be grounded in evidence. Every piece of data collected from the drones was carefully cataloged, photographed, and analyzed. Engineers ran simulations, scientists studied the symbols, and military officers considered the security implications of the discovery. As days passed, the team discovered additional chambers hidden deeper within the sinkhole. Some contained machinery that resembled experimental propulsion systems, while others held tools and instruments that were completely unfamiliar. The layout of the chambers suggested careful planning, with pathways connecting specific areas and equipment arranged in precise formations. The drones revealed that the entire complex might extend far beyond the initial chamber, hinting at an underground network of tunnels, rooms, and devices. One particularly intriguing discovery was a set of devices that seemed to be partially powered, even after decades. Small lights flickered intermittently, and sensors detected faint electromagnetic fields. The team speculated that these could be energy sources designed to remain dormant for long periods, or perhaps devices that could be remotely activated. The presence of operational technology added both excitement and caution. Whoever had built this complex had created systems designed to last, and possibly to reactivate under the right conditions. The implications of the discovery quickly reached the highest levels of government. Top officials were briefed, and a secure team of experts was assembled to evaluate the findings. They debated whether the technology should be studied in secret or shared with select scientific institutions. Security concerns were paramount, as the potential of the technology was unprecedented. Some argued for cautious study, while others warned that even minor exposure could lead to public panic or unwanted attention from other nations. Meanwhile, the drones continued to reveal astonishing details. Some chambers contained objects that looked like experimental vehicles, while others held instruments that could measure energy fields, atmospheric conditions, or other unknown phenomena. The arrangement of the equipment suggested that it had once been part of a coordinated effort, possibly involving multiple teams or groups working toward a common goal. The sheer scale of the facility was becoming more apparent with each new discovery. Back in the control room, the team grew increasingly fascinated by the symbols etched into the walls. Some resembled diagrams for complex machinery, while others appeared to follow mathematical or geometric patterns. Linguists and cryptographers were consulted to help interpret the markings. They suggested that some of the symbols might represent instructions for operating the devices or understanding the technology. Every new insight seemed to raise as many questions as it answered, fueling a growing sense of mystery. As the weeks passed, a picture began to form. The sinkhole was not simply a natural feature of the desert. It was a carefully hidden facility designed to protect and preserve advanced technology. Whether human-made or of unknown origin, the complex was a marvel of engineering, with equipment and devices that had remained functional despite decades of isolation. The more the team explored, the more it became clear that the facility had been intended to remain hidden, and perhaps even undiscovered, until the right moment. The drones eventually explored the deepest known chambers. Here, the technology was more advanced and unusual than anywhere else in the complex. Objects appeared to be constructed from materials unknown to modern science, with reflective surfaces that seemed almost otherworldly. Some devices emitted faint pulses of energy, while others remained inert, waiting to be studied. The team was awestruck by the level of sophistication and precision. Whoever had built this facility had created something far beyond the current capabilities of human engineering. Security remained a constant concern. With public interest growing and amateur observers attempting to get closer to the sinkhole, the military maintained strict perimeter control. Surveillance systems were enhanced, and no unauthorized personnel were allowed near the site. Even the team inside Area 51 worked under strict protocols to prevent leaks or accidental exposure. The importance of secrecy could not be overstated. As months passed, the team compiled a comprehensive map of the sinkhole and its underground complex. Every chamber, tunnel, and piece of equipment was documented, photographed, and analyzed. They discovered evidence of experiments, possible energy sources, and mechanical devices designed for unknown purposes. The facility appeared to be part of a coordinated effort, carefully designed to remain hidden while preserving its contents. Despite the secrecy, some information began to trickle into the public domain. Experts debated the significance of the sinkhole, speculating about the hidden technology and its potential uses. Conspiracy theories flourished, ranging from secret government projects to contact with unknown civilizations. Yet even these theories barely scratched the surface of the truth. The facility beneath the desert was far more advanced and mysterious than anyone outside the base could imagine. The story of the sinkhole and its discoveries quickly became a legend among those who followed secret projects and mysteries. Scientists, engineers, and historians debated its origins, while security experts focused on containment and protection. The facility remained a closely guarded secret, its full capabilities known only to a select few. Yet its discovery had already changed the way people thought about what might be hidden beneath the surface of the Earth. In the control room, the team reflected on what had been accomplished. They had explored the sinkhole, mapped its chambers, and uncovered technology that had remained hidden for decades. They had glimpsed a world beneath the desert, carefully preserved and waiting to be discovered. And yet, despite all that had been revealed, much remained unknown. The deepest chambers had yet to be fully explored, and the purpose of many devices and symbols remained a mystery. As night fell over the Nevada desert, the sinkhole lay silent, a dark and imposing reminder of the secrets buried beneath the earth. The drones rested, and the team took a moment to breathe and reflect. They had uncovered something extraordinary, a hidden world filled with technology, mystery, and history. But the story was far from over. The discovery had changed everything. It had confirmed that beneath the deserts, mountains, and seemingly empty lands, secrets could lie hidden for decades or even centuries. It had shown that human curiosity and careful exploration could uncover wonders beyond imagination. And it had reminded everyone involved that some mysteries are meant to challenge understanding, inspire discovery, and awaken a sense of awe at the unknown. For the team at Area 51, the massive sinkhole was more than just a discovery. It was a portal into the hidden past and a glimpse into a future shaped by the secrets buried below. And as the night settled over the desert, the world waited unknowingly for the story that was slowly unfolding, one secret at a time.